Right, welcome everybody. I'm all the way over to Belgium this evening with Peter. He's a collector and a dealer in the more unusual items. I'm going to get him to introduce himself. So, Peter, take it away. Just tell
Anyway,
everybody.
good evening all. Well, I'm Belgium indeed. I live in Antwerp, and I've been collecting on and off, especially skulls. Skulls more in the past. Human skulls, just human skulls. And I've been specializing more in Egyptian stuff now and Himalayan stuff. So I had a pretty vast collection of human skulls, about 30 of them. But then a while ago, I got contacted by a mate of mine in Belgium who was selling an Egyptian mummified head. Now that's an item you don't come across often. You usually only see them in museum. So I jumped on it, but I had to sell quite a lot of skulls to finance it.
Yeah, because some of these
I-
Egyptian
yeah,
pieces, Peter, are
right.
serious antiquities, aren't they? Especially anything mummified, and they are a very high value.
They have a pretty high value indeed. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna let me show you the first one. This is the
Oh
first
yeah,
one.
and also, oh brilliant! Let's get straight. So you're going to show some of your collection as well, Peter is, which is great. He has such a huge collection of really unusual pieces, the sort of pieces that you won't see outside of museums. Really, would you say?
Usually you don't see them in private collections. They are quite rare indeed. So I got a that mate of mine who called me and said I have a mummified head for sale in Egyptian. So as I said, I jumped on it. This is the head in question. Is there enough light? Let me see.
Okay, right. So describe to wow, it is a typical. If you saw a horror movie of a mummy,
This
that
is it.
would
Uh,
be it, wouldn't it?
it has all his teeth. It has everything in it. I had it X-rayed as well, and had it carbon dated. And it's carbon dated 300 BC, more or less.
Wow, that's
So it is
incredible.
a genuine piece. And you can see all the features. You can see the nose, the mouth, teeth. You can see the ears, part of the ears.
So
That's the first one I
mummification.
got. Sorry.
So Peter, mummification is that something they would do? Only would everybody do that, or would it be special people?
Now we know the mummies from the pharaohs and such, but actually a lot of more people were mummified in those days. Not the real common people, but people with a certain standing, with certain uh, how to say in English, with certain
Yeah, like.
responsibilities in Egyptian life, were all mummified.
And why
Of
would
course,
they do that mummification then? Would that be for their travels into the afterlife? Is that mainly what it's for?
that's it. That's it. To preserve the body for the afterlife, so that the body
Right.
would be whole in the afterlife. What they did is they got out all the intestines and put those in jars, and they had a special treatment of the bodies, which took for a few weeks, dehydrating it and then wrapping it in linen. And the linen was covered in tar.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why you
And
can see in some spots you can see black spots. That's the tar coming through.
wow, oh, that's incredible, isn't it? And they would also mummify because I think you've had something, haven't you? Did you have a mummified falcon? Was that
Let me
right?
show you.
Yeah, because I knew that they did. They also done animals as well,
Yeah,
didn't they?
indeed.
Yeah,
This is the one I showed you a few years ago during COVID on the
yeah.
show. This is a mummified falcon, same period, Ptolemaic, so around about 300 BC to 50 AD or 30 AD.
Wow. And you had an interesting story about this one, actually, Peter, didn't you? Because you took it to your local vets and got it. Was that right?
I spoke to my local vet and I said, well, I called them up first and said, I have a pretty weird question. I have a mummified falcon I'd like to have x-rayed. And the guy was all excited, and actually he thanked me for being able to do this afterwards. And I had the
because
same thing with the head.
because that actually is something that we should because a lot of these ancient antiquities, especially Egyptians, they get faked, don't they, as well? So you're
They do.
always,
They do indeed. Yeah.
so you were worried about, you needed to look inside that, don't you, to see?
There was another reason. These falcons, you've got three types of mummified falcons. You have falcons with a complete falcon in it. You have mummies, falcon mummies with partials, with pieces of a falcon in it. And you have the beam falcons, or the grain falcons, where they just put grain in it in the form of a mummified falcon, actually. But this one has the whole skeleton in it.
Oh, and these were all done at the same sort of time, were they?
Yeah, yeah.
As well. So you could, and they all look the same, basically, on the outside.
You can't see on the outside. You have to have an X-ray.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they all look exactly the same,
Yeah.
but you have to have that X-ray. And obviously, the ones that are worth all the money are the ones with the falcons inside.
They're the best. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. That's it. And now you've got verification.
I got a smaller one. I'm going to get. Wait a moment. This is a mummified falcon as well, but a lot smaller.
Okay. So would these have actually been something like a peregrine falcon type thing? Is that right? Something like that?
Those would be these big ones.
Yeah.
These were hunting falcons. Yeah.
Yeah, hunting falcons. Yeah, which is still a popular thing now, isn't it?
True. Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows that it went all the way back to Egyptian times that they were using that sort of sport as well.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that with Peter? Anyway, let's stop because we've jumped straight into mummification, which I absolutely love. But can you tell everybody where they can find you, because you're also on the internet, aren't you? And you're
all right. I'm on Instagram. My name on Instagram is acta_non_est_fabula. Actually, acta non est fabula with underscores in between. Well, it introduced me as a collector and a dealer. Actually, let's say that I started as a collector, but I have an agreement, or had an agreement years ago with my wife, who told me you can buy whatever you want, but not out of the budget. So what I do is I buy and sell. I make a small profit, and I use that profit to buy stuff for my collection.
Yeah, and then
it's not really to make money; it's more to get the funds to collect. Actually,
yeah. And that's a great way of collecting as well, because then you get to pass on, and then you really get, because you have to do that, you really get to hone your skills, and you buy the best quality pieces, don't you? And sort of one goes out of the door, and then your collection just gets better and better and better over time, doesn't it? And like you said, you obviously found the Egyptian head got you going, really, didn't it? And then it's moved you over to more Egyptian artifacts than before, when you were just collecting human skulls, basically.
True. Yeah. Well, I started with the falcon, but the mummy head was actually was a bucket list item I didn't think I would ever own.
No.
I was really lucky. And the story about that one is actually pretty interesting. I mean, I got that head from the mate in Belgium, and I was talking about it to a fellow collector/dealer in Antwerp, a young guy, 3 days later, and he told me, I think I know someone who has one for sale as well. I said, oh, that's interesting. And the same evening, he sent me a message on Instagram saying, I have it here. So I actually got 2 heads in 4 days.
Wow.
Which is, how big are the odds? And that's this one.
Brilliant.
It has a bit of damage. You can see there's a hole on the side.
Wow.
It's a bit in rougher shape.
That's incredible though, isn't it? That really, you can see. I mean, you're never going to be able to fake that look, are you?
No, not true.
That is just absolutely incredible, Peter.
I still have to have this one carbon dated. I'm going to be doing that soon, but probably about the same period, Ptolemaic, around 300 BC.
That is absolutely amazing. I don't think I've.
And actually, I started with human skulls. Now, the Egyptian stuff, of course, I was waiting for years to get one or more, in this case. And then I started collecting Himalayan stuff as well, but mostly related to human bones. So in Himalayan Buddhism, they use a lot of human bones in their artifacts. One thing is a kapala, that's a skull cap, and they use that for rituals. This is one of those.
Wow.
Tibetan, the inside inlaid with silver.
Wow, that is some serious work on that. Is that polished as well? Is it sort of like a polished?
It's not. It's unpolished, but it's used. It's used a lot. It's used a lot.
Oh, it's just because of
Because never polished. It's actually polished by rubbing it for years and using it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's why it has a certain glow over it.
Because I've seen the monkey ones of these.
Yeah.
You know, don't you? You get monkey, you get, would it be tortoise, all different ones like that. But obviously
Yes.
the human skulls would be used in, you know, the high ranking rituals, probably something like that.
As far as I know, all the monkey ones and the goat ones are all tourist pieces.
They're more the
70s, 80s for tourists. Because the human skulls couldn't be exported, so they turned to monkey skulls and made them look like a human kapala, but they're not actually old pieces.
No, they're all for the tourists. Which you get a lot of that with masks as well, don't you? You know, from all around the world, basically. A lot of these masks aren't actually were never used in rituals. They're more tourist pieces. The ones that command all the money are the ones that would have been used in rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good.
Best example is African masks. You have loads of African masks on the market, but only a few genuine ones and genuinely tribally used ones. They do fetch high prices.
Yeah, that's someone told me that before. They said there is generally probably you would have never ever seen a proper African mask that has been used in rich. You know, they are that rare. But then if you know, everybody says, "Oh, I've had an African mask," you know, not this, but they're not the actual. They're all tourist pieces, basically.
Yeah.
And that's
the cost piece, of course.
But some of them are so nice and decorative as well, aren't they? Especially when you get to the Tibetan ones and the Himalayan ones, because you have all the different deities. And yeah, you can really get some great tourist masks. I mean, I've had loads and, you know, sold loads in the past, to be honest with you.
Well, I can show you one, right?
Yeah, please, because they're so well done as well, aren't they, Peter? The masks, they're really well carved, and the amount of work that goes into them. Yeah, well, that's a special one as well. So is that Makahala? Is that who that is?
Mahakala.
Yeah. No.
So this one is a genuine one. I'll show you how you can see the difference as well.
Yeah.
There is a wax stamp here, a red wax stamp.
Right. Okay.
It's Nepalese, and it's the export stamp for antiques.
Oh, okay.
So every antique leaving Nepal or Tibet has one of those stamps to say, okay, it's okay to export it.
Oh, that's a really interesting fact, because actually I've had ones with wax stamps. You know, they're lovely as well, aren't they? Yeah, very.
If you have the wax stamp, they should be okay.
Yeah, no. So that's a good tip for anybody that's collecting masks, especially. You know, look for that, especially Tibetan ones. Look for that wax on the back, and then you know that it's a good one. And it's right.
Unless the fakers put a wax on it, of course. No.
Yeah, that does happen, I suppose, as well. So, Peter, you're sort of like a bit of a go-to guy with the human skulls as well, aren't you? So, if someone wants to, is there any tips? I mean, I'm not into collecting human skulls, but I'm sure there's lots of people always ask me. It's and it's an amazing field, really, because before I didn't even think there was such a thing, to be honest with you. And then now I seem to know quite a few people that do, or it's people think of it as a bit of a taboo subject, but it's actually people more respecting the dead, I think. You know, once you actually learn more about it, it's, you know, that it's really the respect and like that memento mori of learning about death as well. So if someone wanted to start collecting skulls, what would your tips be for them?
Well, always buy from someone you can trust. If you find the skull on Instagram, for instance, or on Facebook or whatever, try to find out who the guy is, ask him for people references, asking for references. That's what I always do when I have someone new on Instagram who asks me for a skull. I tell them, well, listen, you're from the UK. I've got several people in the UK buying from me regularly. I can give you their names. They will vouch for me. Another thing is if it's cheap, if it's too cheap with everything, not only with skulls, but if it's too cheap, don't touch it. Too cheap is usually a no-go. There are a lot of scammers, skull scammers as well on Instagram, because there is a big market for it. And well, you're talking at least €300, €400, or even a lot more. So scamming is a big thing in skull collection.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I see that as well, because some of the people who I follow who are into skulls, taxidermy, that sort of thing, that seems to be a place where there's a lot of fraud go on, and there seems to be a lot of fake accounts, and a lot of impersonations as well, saying that they're that person, opening an account saying that person, which is very strange. You know, I don't know why it seems to affect that field quite a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure. Is there a place you can go to check out people? Is there right?
There is a place on Instagram. There is a friend of mine, Koen, who lives in Antwerp region as well. He's got an Instagram page called Skull Scammers. And there you can find a whole list of all the actual skull scammers on right now, or who were on Instagram in the past. So that's a good thing to take that first as well. And always ask someone you know, or ask me. They can send me a message and say, hey, is that guy reliable, yes or no?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say that as well, because you are ever so helpful, Peter. You've helped me out, and I thank you. I mean, if I get a picture of like something very strange and unusual, I'm just like, Peter, what is this? And I don't know, you don't know, we sort of can get to the bottom of it by research, can't we? Especially with some of these Tibetan pieces, and especially like deities. I mean, there's so many different Eastern deities, like whether you have it as a sculpture, in a picture, or anything like that. It's a real. There's so many, isn't there?
Difficult matter. Yeah.
So if you're researching something, how do you go about it? Do you sort of try and Google it, or do you the bits that you don't know? Do you try and search the internet? Basically, yeah. Is that a good tip?
Search the internet, search books, everything possible. Ask people who could know. That mate of mine who I bought the mummified head from is a guy who used to import stuff from Nepal and Tibet for years. So he has massive knowledge. So there's different ways to find out, if you can find it out, because there are all things you would never find out because it's so niche, or so let's say. Part of a small part of Nepal or Tibet that nobody knows of, but no. There is always a lot of research with it.
So, Peter, you've got one of your dream pieces, which is the mummy head. Now, haven't you? What is your ultimate dream piece?
My ultimate dream piece.
Yeah.
Well, I visited another mate of mine a few weeks ago. And he has got, an Inca child mummy.
Right, okay. So
the ones you see on National Geographic with the clothes on and everything. It's a stunning piece. It's morbid, I know, but it's a stunning piece.
Okay.
Another piece I'd like a lot is a shrunken head, Jivaro shrunken head.
Yes, I mean, and because they get faked a lot, don't they, by pigskin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Because real shrunken heads, they're South America, aren't they? Am I right?
South America, yeah, Ecuador and such, yeah. But even in those, you have different categories. You have the genuine tribally used ones, and you have those made in the 1880s, 1890s, when the Westerners went to South America because they were fascinated by it, and the Indians made them for the tourists. They even used white people to shrink the heads. So you can find a shrunken head with blonde or with ginger hair, for instance.
Really? That's incredible.
But they all command very high prices. That's
Yeah, I mean, I've had one made out of pigskin, like 1 to sort of fake, which obviously you get quite a bit. But obviously, the one I had was quite an early one. You know, not
Mhm.
a late 20 years ago. It was more like mid-century, probably 20s, 30s, something like that. And it was great, you know, the detail they'd gone to try and shape the pigskin to make it look
Yeah,
really did look, and they're fascinating, aren't they? Yeah, that's an incredible piece. So that would be a goal, would it, to get one of them?
that would be a goal, but I think that financially it will be a no go. For a good one, for a tribal use one, you have to start at minimum 25K.
Yeah,
So
no, I
that's,
think,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a prices that
yeah, no,
not a
that's
lot, not a lot of people can afford that. Well, I could sell mine to Mammalified heads and I would have one, but you
yeah,
know,
but then yeah, no. So your
choices,
collect,
tough
yeah. So
choices.
is there anything that you have once owned? I shouldn't really say this because there is obviously probably something. Is there something that you once owned and you sold and you regretted?
Oh, loads. Special skills,
Yeah, no,
skills with deformities or special patina. There's loads I regret, but no.
yeah. You have
I got,
to. You
I got stuff
Yeah, you
instead.
shouldn't really regret, should you? You have to pass on these things,
Yeah.
and it's always nice to see them go into someone else's collection as well. And they're usually really pleased if you sell something special to them,
Yeah.
and they'll come back and then help you out maybe
Yeah.
if you want to buy something, you know, which is great. Yeah,
I do remember a year or two ago, I had a Tibetan kanglin, that's a bone trumpet, human bone trumpet that I sold. I wasn't into the Himalayan stuff at that moment, not that much. And now I regret it, but okay,
yeah, yeah.
that's life.
So, which we talked about you being on Instagram. A lot of dealers are, collectors are. You get to see everybody's cool collections and that. Is there a couple of people maybe out in Belgium that people should keep a lookout? And if you could say their accounts, you know, like maybe your friends or someone who you follow who you really like, they don't have to
Yeah,
necessarily be Belgium, but you know, even if they're all around the world, that'd be great.
yeah, sure. Let me check for the exact Instagram addresses. There's Skull Hunter, but what's his exact name? That's Koen. He's a guy living in the Antwerp region as well. Skull Hunter 1979.2.
Okay, right, cool. Right, I'll make a note of that.
He does human and animal bones.
Yeah,
Um, his page on Skull Scammers is called Skull Scammers as well. Always interesting to know. There is a guy. If you're into tribal, his Instagram is Craniac. Very
Craniac.
nice guy in Belgium. If you're looking for Dayak or southeastern skulls or tribal skulls, looking for his account, Craniac, Cranyac.
Oh, that's cool. Because a lot of people are into these Dayak ones as well, because they're the
Mhm.
ones with all of the inscription, like carving into them, aren't they?
Right.
Is that right? Yeah, no. And they're Indonesian, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah,
a lot of fakes in those as well. Well,
yes.
anything that commands money is being faked, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a problem. That's one thing I always try and say to people is, I mean, I've been scammed, you know, like, you know, I bought a couple of pieces where I thought they were right and they were
Yeah.
ancient. They were little bronze um, Roman statues. And
Hmm.
I got told, you know, I believe people, Peter. That's the problem with me, you see. And the guy said, oh, they were found, it was metal detecting, you know, like, and I thought, oh, right. And they still had the dirt in them and they were like green with patination.
Hmm.
And they were in a cabinet in an antique shop. And I was like, oh, how much, you know? And then he told me this full story. And I don't know whether I believed him, so I think he was probably
Hmm.
told that story. So it'd
Could
been
be.
that. So it'd been down. So I don't blame him, you know, because I think he was also told that story, and that's why I believed him. But then anyway, and I got them. I got them back, and I really liked them. One was like a gladiator as well, which I'd never
Mhm.
seen before, and I sent them to a friend who is a real good collector as well, and he actually, by the picture, he loved it, you know.
Mm.
And then I was gonna just like he's bought a lot of me, so I sort of said, well, if you want it, you can have it for so and you know. And then probably about an hour later, he sent me a picture, and it was from somewhere in I think it was it was somewhere like Croatia or somewhere like that,
Mhm.
where you could literally buy it on the internet, like
Exactly the same.
yeah, near enough.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be, yeah, not exactly the same,
Yeah.
but
But very near.
you could sort of know that it would have been not necessarily from that shop, but it was a fake. And then you start picking it up more, and then you feel that it. I mean, this was bronze, and they said that it was, and it still had a few sharp edges. And I mean, this is meant to be 2,000 years old. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have sharp edges or anything. And then you sort of look at the green, and you realise the green is a bit more sort of like put on than actually patinated
Yeah.
green, you know. So everybody does it, and that's a thing that you've got to be really careful of. So I, if you haven't seen it before, then just take your time a little bit with it if you're going to buy it, and just
Yeah.
do your research as well. You know,
True.
I think that especially if you're going to pay a lot of money, you
Yeah.
know, because you won't get that back.
And if the deal sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of skull scanners do. They post skulls at a very low price, at a price you won't find anywhere. And then some people think they're having their lucky day, and
Yeah.
they get nothing.
There was another thing that I was going to ask you about, Peter, because I always find this is interesting. I know you collect these. It was the guillotines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
can you tell the listeners or viewers about these? So they're sort of
no, if I turn, wait a minute, if I turn my laptop, so I don't hit a memory head, I have a few miniature guillotines.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look. Yeah. Brilliant. So would these be like apprentice pieces, would they?
Well, this one, let's say the middle one here,
Yeah.
is actually Banyar made, and Banyars were prisoners.
Oh, okay.
That's a fine quarter one. It's a mahogany one, and the others are actually used as cigar cutters.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a cool cigar cutter, I must admit.
That's the biggest one on the end.
You've got something ready to have the head chopped off in that one.
Yep. They're actually well made. Let me say that best one from the shelf or on the shelf.
It's actually nice as well, Peter. Where you are, is this like your studio, and is this where you house your collection in here, basically?
It's my home office.
Yeah, it's your.
I've
It's
been
nice
working.
because you've got quite a good collection as well. I like you've got some plaster. You know, it's not just skulls, and you've got a good eye for everything, haven't you?
Yeah,
You like
that's true.
right. Let's have
I'm
a
a
look.
huge Napoleon fan as well, as you can see in the back.
Oh yeah.
Napoleon plaster. Now this is the one of the best guillotines I've got.
Okay,
It's
well, that's
end of 19th or early 20th century, and it's of course. Let me see. I've attached it. It is of course functional, as you would guess.
right. Yeah. So you've got to be careful of your finger, Peter.
Yep. Let's give it a try.
Whoa. Yeah. No.
Has to be all a bit,
It's
but
it's
it is
really well. It's really
a
well
functional
made and
piece.
really well weighted as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's
there's a big bronze piece on here, but I have to put some more on the sides to have it slide
Yeah,
better.
yeah. I mean, I hadn't seen. I may have seen a cigar cutter, maybe I think,
Mhm.
but I haven't. I'd never seen a collection of guillotines. I always thought that was fun about it. Well, Peter, we've been at it for half an hour, which is sort of like the length of the podcast, and it was really
Yeah.
great to actually. I know we're friends and we reach out and we talk quite a bit, but it was really great to talk to you and actually see, because I actually didn't know that you had these mummy heads, which is super cool, you know,
Thank you.
and extremely rare pieces. You know, I mean, like I said, you won't see them, and it's so interesting. So thanks for showing them; they're absolutely amazing. And
My
thanks
pleasure.
thanks for coming on. And no doubt in the future, when you get your shrunken head or something like that, then
Yes.
maybe you could come on and talk about that and
Knock
show
on
us.
wood.
Yeah. Right then. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and we'll catch up. And I hope everybody out there enjoyed talking to Peter. So just say your handle. It's actor.
Acta non est fabula
Yeah.
in Latin.
And
So
it,
acta, A-C-T-A, non, N-O-N, E-S-T, fabula, like fabulous, fabula, with an underscore between. And if anyone has a question about skulls or wants advice or anything, feel free. Feel free to reach
brilliant.
out. I'm always glad to be able to help.
Thanks, Peter. It's been great, mate. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Ed.